Hi, I'm Tom Ziglar, CEO of Ziglar Inc. I'm so excited that you're here. Welcome to this Ziglar webcast. We've got a special guest today. We have Michelle Prince. She's going to talk about busy being busy. In this crazy world today, we have so many things tugging at us from all directions. And if we can understand how to take control of our life goes so much better. Michelle has so many insights that she's going to share with you during this next little bit of time together. I'm just pleased that you're here. If you look at your screen right now, in the top right-hand corner of the screen is a place where you can send in questions. Now, Jill Tibbles, who's down in Austin, she handles all those questions. She feeds them back into the studio, and at the end of today's session, in about 40 minutes from now, Michelle and I are going to be answering those questions. Actually, Michelle gets to answer the questions. I'm just going to feed the questions to her. So any question they have, make sure you fill that out. And you'll notice there that you have the option to join our chat room, and we really encourage that you do that. But when you join the chat room, make sure that you keep all your comments on target, on point, uplifting, and building each other. We have such a great community. You know, when we do these events, we've had over 1,000 people register for this. When we do these events, we have people from all over the world, and it's so great to see how people are focused not only in improving themselves, but also being a difference maker in the lives of others. That's why we do this. One thing before we get started is I just want to share with you that this show is brought to you by two things. The Ziglar Show, which is our show on iTunes. It's our podcast. It's absolutely free. So if you love inspiration and motivation, you want it right on your smartphone, then go check out the Ziglar Show at iTunes. It's a business podcast. It's one of the top rated in its category. We have thousands and thousands of people downloading it every day. The other thing that's supporting this and is sponsoring this is our Ziglar On Demand. This is our entire library of all of my father, Zig Ziglar's greatest materials. We'll be sharing more about Ziglar On Demand in a little bit, but if you would, please welcome up Michelle. Michelle, come on up.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so good that you're here.
Thank you.
We're like family. Michelle goes way back. She's going to tell you her story. But before I turn it over, I just want you to know that Michelle is one of our Ziglar Legacy certified trainers and speakers. And wherever she goes in the world, she talks about Ziglar, and that's a good thing. It's such a delight to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you've done this before, so I'm going to turn it over, and then I'll be back up in a minute.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you, Michelle.
Well, like Tom said, I do have a long history with Ziglar, and I'm excited to be here. I feel like I'm home every time I'm here. So what I want to talk about today, though, is procrastination and being busy, because I have a hunch there's a few people watching this right now that feel a little overwhelmed and feel a little busy. So that's what we're going to knock out today. But I want to start off, though, with my very favorite Zig Ziglar quote, and that is, "Man was designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness." Do you know why I love that quote so much? What that means is that everything we need within us right now, we already have it. We have those seeds of greatness within us. So if we want to be more successful, have better relationships, be more, live our best life, we have those seeds of greatness. Our only job is to water those seeds and nourish those seeds and plant them and watch them grow. But I will tell you, if you are feeling a little bit like this, some of you can relate, where are you going round and round and round and round, and you're on that wheel of life that just keeps going, but you're not making any progress. Well, you're not alone, because everybody is busy. Everybody has something that is keeping them going and going and going. So what I want to talk about is not, are you busy? Because I know you're busy. More importantly, are you busy being busy and getting nothing done? So first, before I get started though, so time management, procrastination, productivity, there's a lot of different thoughts on that, and there's a lot of different theories. And there are some myths. So what I'd like to do is just get those myths out of the way before we get started, so we're all on the same page here. And myth number one when it comes to time management is this: if I just work really, really hard, I'll be successful. Don't we all know somebody who, from the moment they wake up in the morning to the moment they hit their head at night on the pillow, they've been moving, they've been going, but yet they tell you all the things that they didn't get done. So it's not so much about working hard. It's not about getting up at the crack of dawn and, burning the midnight oil. That's important at times, but just because you work real hard does not mean you're working smart. So myth number one is it's not necessarily about working harder, it's about working smarter. Now, myth number two is So many people believe that they're going to be successful. And I will tell you right now, belief is one of the most important things to me. But there's a difference between belief in yourself and just believing things will happen without any work. So instead of just sitting there and imagining things coming down from the sky of success, it's not about just believing. Kind of like this cat looking at the computer right now, download me a fish. Wish that success were that easy. It's not. It takes more than just belief. It actually takes a little bit of work, and we'll talk about that. And then finally, the third myth, and one that I can relate to the most, is if I just keep juggling, I'll be successful. We all are juggling so many different things. We're juggling family, we're juggling finances and career and our physical life and our spiritual life, and all of these different things are so important. So a lot of us think that, well, if I just keep all the balls in the air, everything will be okay. And that seems to make sense, but think about juggling for a minute. What's happening to all of those balls? They're all in the air. And if you do touch them for just a second, you're not giving them the amount of attention that they really need. So it's not a juggling act. And it is somewhat of a balancing act, but I think it's even something a little bit more. It boils down to one thing, and that is priorities. When you know exactly what it is that you want to accomplish in your business and in your personal life, that's when you see powerful results. I want each of you to think of someone right now that you know that is truly, truly successful in whatever way that you want to think about. I guarantee you that those people know exactly what it is that they need to be doing at any given time. They have 100 different things to juggle, but they prioritize them in a way to make them be more successful. And that sounds like a lot of work, and it can be, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be. And those are some of the things that I'm going to share with you today, because you are powerful. You have the ability, you have those seeds of greatness, like Zig told us. But if we're too busy being busy and we're running around on that wheel, we can't be as powerful as we were created to be. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But I want to have a little bit of fun. Is that okay if we have some fun? I love the 80s. A lot of you know my story, but for those of you who don't, let me just say that, the 80s was my decade. Everyone has a decade. They say that there's a decade we all relate to the most, right? So it's the hair, the music, the style, all of those things. For me, it was the 80s. And the 80s was a fun time. And if you were all with me right now, I'd ask you, so what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the 80s? And I guarantee you I'd hear big hair, I'd hear Madonna, parachute pants. Guys, I don't want to know if you wore the parachute pants, but I know some of you out there did. Leg warmers and all of these different things. And I just love it. It was such a great time in my life, and it was when I was, kind of coming into my own. But for me, the one style that I absolutely loved and I wanted it to get it perfect, so every day I worked at perfecting it just right, was that big hair. Oh yes. You all remember the big hair, don't you? The big, frizzy, curly hair. Ladies, I know you know what I'm talking about if you grew up in the 80s, with the Aquanet and the teasing and all of that. And that was just something that I really, that was one of my things that I loved to do. So obviously the 80s is my decade. It's a lot of fun. But you might be thinking, why are we even talking about this? Well, something extraordinary happened to me in the 80s. In fact, it was 1989, and it was just 2 months before that picture was taken. And I was just getting ready to go off to college. I live in the Dallas area. I was going to the University of North Texas, and my mom and dad wanted to send me off on my way and give me something really special, something that would impact my life, that big gift. And all of this talk about how they're going to give me something to, put me on my way, and it's, going to be so exciting. I'm thinking the whole time it has to be a car. I thought they were going to give me a car for graduation. I didn't get a car. And at the time, I thought what they gave me was the worst thing ever. And that was a ticket to a seminar. I kid you not. I'm 18 years old. First of all, I don't want to be motivated. Do you know any 18-year-old that wants to be motivated? I certainly didn't. But what happened was this seminar that I had to go to was the weekend before I was going off to college, literally. So I had to spend my last weekend doing something I didn't want to do. But I went to that seminar, and it changed my life. It was a seminar called Born to Win, and it was hosted by this guy, Zig Ziglar, which I know all of you know who Zig Ziglar is, but I'll be honest with you. In 1989, I had no idea who Zig Ziglar was, and I certainly didn't want to spend 3 days with him, so I wasn't happy about it. But once I got there, something changed within me. I look back now as an adult and I realize what had happened. At the time, I didn't know, but I found my passion that weekend. It was 3 days of goal setting and self-esteem building and, setting priorities and learning all the things to make a person successful. I'm learning this at 18, and I soaked it up like a sponge. I loved it. I absolutely just loved it. And I loved being around other people, like-minded people. And so that experience really set the stage for me. And I'm almost embarrassed to say, but at that seminar, I was so fired up at the end of it. I remember standing in line to get my book signed, and I wanted so badly to talk to Mr. Ziglar. And I did walk up there with him. I'm with my brother, and I say to him, I of course compliment him on what a wonderful seminar this was. But then I say, Mr. Ziglar, I'm going to work for you one day. You just wait and see. I'm going to work for you. And I meant it. Like, I felt it in my soul. But I'll be honest with you. The next week, I went off to college, and I spent the next 4.5 years in Denton at UNT just being a typical college student. And I kind of forgot about that whole dream and goal of working for Zig Ziglar until I was working my very first job out of college. Now, I don't want to brag or anything, but it was a pretty glamorous job. It was selling copiers. I'm kidding. If anybody sold copiers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was not my dream job. But kid you not, I actually had a cold call in an area, Carrollton, Texas, and when I walked up to the building, I had no idea who was there. At the top of the building, it said the Zig Ziglar Corporation, and I literally about fell over because all of a sudden that memory of, that's right, I'm going to work for him, I'm going to work here, came back to me, and I rushed inside and I spoke to the wonderful woman behind the counter. Her name was Lou, and I said, Lou, is there any way I could get a job here? Do you have any job openings? And what's really funny is while I was working in copier sales, I made a promise to myself. As soon as I could get out of that job, I would never do sales again. Swore to myself. And then here I go and I see Ziglar and I tell him I'll do anything to work here. Long story short, of course, it was a sales position. In my dream of 18, I'm thinking, no, I'll be speaking with Zig Ziglar. No, it was in sales, but I have to tell you, it was honestly some of the best years of my life. In fact, getting to be a part of a company that every single day was making a difference, there was nothing like it. To say that I was living my passion every day is an understatement. And so it was a beautiful experience, and it really set the stage for my whole life. It set the stage for the rest of my career. But I made some decisions early on that, I don't regret, because I wouldn't be talking to you today had I not made the decision. But I made a decision after working at Ziglar for a few years to quit. And it was mostly driven by I wanted to climb a corporate ladder, and I thought that if I, got out there and did software sales and I made more money, that I'd be happier. Well, I have news for you. The farther away you get from your passion in life, there's just no way to be happy, truly happy. I mean that deep satisfaction. So for the next 12, 13, 14 years, I literally was going through the motions of life, not loving my job, being so busy that I was just miserable all the time. And I'll share a secret with you. One of my dreams after I left Ziglar was to somehow get back there someday and make a difference. That's what it boiled down to for me. But I didn't know how. And one of my dreams was to write a book. But again, I didn't know how and I didn't have the confidence. But what I do know is had I not procrastinated on a dream that I knew I had within me, things could be totally different now. But once I overcame procrastination to write my book, that's when my entire world changed. And I'll just say that it's not necessarily about writing a book, but when you know your passion and your purpose in life and you step into your greatness, that's when amazing things happen. And so there's a lot more to the story, but I want to get into what's most important, and that's to help you overcome procrastination. Because like I said, I had to overcome that in myself. And through that process and through a lot of different things I've done over the years now, I have really studied time management and found ways, why are certain people more successful than others? And I think I've boiled it down to a few points that I want to share with you today. And the first one is, well, actually, let me just back up and say my dream of working for Zig definitely came true, but it also, now I'm able to share that with so many different people and companies throughout the United States, and I feel very grateful to do that. So whatever's deep inside of you, find that passion and step into it. But now, let's jump into really procrastination, overcoming it, and what that looks like. I have a pathway to productivity that's really, it's an entire seminar. It's a whole day seminar. So I'm going to just take the main big points and give you as much meat as I can in a short amount of time. But it really follows this pathway. And the first part of this is building a solid foundation. Building a solid foundation, what does that mean? Well, you'll never achieve anything in life unless you know what you want. You have to have clarity. You know, Zig talked about goals all the time. And the goals, what that means is you have to know what you want in order to make it happen. So the question Zig would always ask is, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? And what do you want to have? Simply put, what kind of a person do you want to be? Think about your life. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in this world? You know, how do you want to be in your family, to your coworkers, to your friends? And then, what do you want? What do you want to do? Do you want to travel? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to start a company? Knowing and having absolute clarity on that will make a huge difference. And it'll also change the way you manage your day. You'll know your priorities. And then finally, what do you want to have? It's okay to want things. You know, maybe you want to have a better relationship. Maybe you want to have a successful business that runs on its own. Maybe you want freedom of some kind. If you don't know what you want, it's guaranteed you'll never get there. So the first part of really being productive is simple. You have to know, what do you want? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And what do you want to have? And a real simple way to do this, and I highly encourage, if you don't have the Ziglar Performance Planner, that you get one immediately, because this will change your life. The Wheel of Life is something that in the Performance Planner, it teaches you in depth how to use it. But let me just give you that overview for you. We are all more than just our career. We're more than just our personal life. We're all of these components and that you see in this wheel. These are the spokes of who we are. So the best way to really be productive is take a snapshot of how are you doing? Where are you right now? For example, in your career, from a scale from 1 to 10, how are you doing? Are you doing the things you love to do? Are you, making the kind of money you want to make? Those are the kind of things to think about. And then once you know, you plot between 0 and 10. 10 meaning I am rocking it in my career. It can't get much better. 0 meaning, oh boy, I'm in a lot of, I need a lot of help. But you probably fall somewhere in between. So the Wheel of Life gives you the visual of where am I now? It's not where you have to stay, but you can't accomplish anything unless you actually know where you want to go. So I encourage you to get that performance planner, and it'll take you through all of these things. You know, your career, your financial life, your physical life, your mental life, of course your spiritual, your personal, your family life. And then once you have gone through this wheel and you really know where you are today, that's when you connect the dots. And what that wheel is going to show you is how bumpy is your ride. Meaning, do you have a bumpy road? Are you maybe you're doing great in your career, but your personal life is lacking. So that first and foremost is to know where you are, and that's how you start to make plans for change. I wish I could stay on this. I could stay on this topic forever, but we do need to move on. At the end of the day, this is what's so important to hold on to. If you remember nothing else from this webcast, it's never going to be about having the time, ever. It's about making the time. Every single person here has 24 hours in a day, and some people use those 24 hours and are truly successful, and some people don't. So again, it's not about having the time, it's about making the time. So right now, I'm going to ask Tom to come back up here and tell us a little bit about...
All right, let me come over here.
Okay.
Awesome. Michelle, that's awesome. When I think about this, Dad said this. He said, and he quoted a Stanford study. I know you've heard this. 95% of the people who get inspired to take action never do.
Right.
Because they don't have the resources to do that. And that's why when we bring a webcast like this to you, we do it for free, because we want everybody to be a part of it. We want you to engage. We want you to take away things that can change your life. But we also want to provide you with the resources so that once this is over, you can go into the resources and you can change your life. Michelle has a book that we're going to be talking about, and she has resources, and we do too. This program today is brought to you by Ziglar On Demand, and I want to share a little bit with you about Ziglar On Demand. Ziglar On Demand is the program where we took all of our incredible audio and video programs, over 60 hours of content. I mean, Michelle, I know you've listened to How to Stay Motivated. How many times?
Hundreds.
Hundreds of times. Yeah, I know.
Since I was really young.
It's got hours and hours and hours, over 21 hours of attitude, motivation, personal development, the core, the goal setting, the self-image, all the things that you need to grow as a person. We also have in there Secrets of Closing the Sale, 14 hours of the best sales training in the world from Zig Ziglar. Then we have our 2 life-changing programs as far as the family goes, Raising Positive Kids and Courtship After Marriage. All of these programs right there at your fingertips in Ziglar On Demand. It's a simple program that's a subscription that allows you on your smartphone, wherever you are in the world, if you're driving down the road, if you're out exercising, you can log in and you can start listening to this at your fingertips. You can also do it at your computer. We cover 3 basic areas in there. We cover business and sales training, family relationships, and personal development. So here's the deal, right? You've probably noticed this. If you're having a hard day at home, you take it to work with you, and if you're having a hard day at work, you take it home with you. And so how do you change that? Well, I believe that the number one fundamental to success is understanding that the most powerful habit that you can create is the habit of putting the right input into your mind. Once you put the right things in, the right things come out.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean,
absolutely.
And you know, have you ever been on stage and you ask the group for questions and then they ask a question you had no idea was coming, but somehow you got the answer?
Yes.
And then you go home, where did that answer come from?
It's so true, actually. You're right. I hadn't thought about it that way, but it's just in part of who you are.
Right. It's from hours and hours and hours of listening and studying and reading. So we put all of this into Ziglar On Demand to make it real easy. The offer is very simple. If you want to join Ziglar On Demand, it's $9.95 a month or $99 for the year. Now here's where we have a special offer for you. If you decide to go in and do it for the year, we're going to have a bonus. So everybody who comes in for $99, you're going to get the electronic version of the book, Born to Win. You're going to get that electronic version of the Born to Win book. But we also have another bonus.
Yes, yes we do.
Okay, so for everybody, the first 5 who join for the $99,
yes,
you're going to get an autographed copy of Busy Being Busy. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that?
Sure, it's busy being busy, but getting nothing done. It's the ultimate guide to stop juggling, overcome procrastination, and get more done in less time in not just your business, but in leadership, in life. And that is your free gift today.
Right, you're going to get that autograph from Michelle, and those of you and this is for U.S. winners, okay? So if you're doing this and you come in and you're international, we'd love to send this to you. Do you have this electronic, by the way?
I do. I absolutely do.
So if you're international, we'll send it to you electronic. The signature won't look as good electronic, but we'll still get it to you. You're also, if you're in the first 5 to come in for $99, I'm gonna autograph the book Born to Win. This is Dad's last book, and I wrote it with him. The last chapter in there, I worked with Dad on and put that in there. So we're gonna send you these. Now, here's the thing. So you're gonna want to write this down because I'm gonna get in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. The team doesn't know that I did this. Just place the order, and the place where you go to place the order is right here, Ziglar.com, Ziglar On Demand, right there. That's where you go to do that. But here's the special thing. So if this is something for you, when you order the $99, if you will just email me, and I'm going to give you my personal email, tziglar, so that's Tziglar @Ziglar.com. You got to email me personally and just say, hey, I bought the year, and then that's going to be my trigger to send you these autographed books.
Wow, that's
okay?
awesome.
So the team doesn't know we did that. They know about the electronic version, but they don't know about the hard copy version.
I love it.
Okay, so take us up on that. And the other thing is we're going to do a drawing right now, and we're going to give away one of these sets of books, and we're going to tell you who the winner is at the end. So that way we keep you engaged all the way until the end. So here's what we're going to do. So Jill, you're listening to us. The 7th person, okay, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, the 7th person who writes in Busy Being Busy, that's pretty clever, wasn't it?
That was pretty clever. I like that.
The 7th person who sends it in to Jill is going to get a signed copy of both of these books if you're in the continental U.S. If you're internationally win, we're going to send them to you electronically. So the 7th person to do that. And so, Michelle, I'm going to turn this back over to you, and then I will be back at the end, and we'll do the Q&A, and we'll announce the winners.
Awesome.
All
Ooh,
right.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Those are some pretty good bonuses. All right, so we started with, we set our firm foundation. Can't set goals, you can't really be productive on anything until you know. So let's jump forward now and move into the next phase of the pathway to productivity. And that's, how do we master our morning? You know, mornings are the most important part of the day, and I will be honest, I'm not a morning person. I wish I could say I was. I'm more of a night owl, and I know some of you who are watching right now can relate to me. So the thought of the morning, it's all usually like, oh, give me my cup of coffee. But here's the thing, your mornings are actually the most important time for you to be productive because it's setting the tone for your entire day. So I'm going to give you a couple tips, and some of you are going to like me and some of you will not, but that's okay because just stick with me on this. I'm actually going to give you a challenge, and it's a small challenge. It's for 1 week. I want you to try something, and if this does not radically improve your productivity, then you can stop. But I can guarantee you it will make a difference, and that is this. From now on, starting tomorrow, or whenever you want to start this challenge, no matter what time you get up in the morning, for 1 week, I want you to get up 1 hour earlier. That's it. Just 1 hour earlier. Now, I know I already lost half of you because you're thinking, I already get up at 6, I'm not getting up at 5, or I already get up at 5, I'm not getting up at 4. Hear me out on this. You see, our mornings, really, I already said, they determine the rest of the day. But what usually happens in our mornings, the alarm goes off and we're jumping out of bed. You know, have you ever had a day where you're running late and the alarm goes off and you're frantic before you can even brush your teeth? And so the rest of the day tends to go like that. But when you give yourself 1 extra hour, that hour can be spent doing anything. But that hour is for you. You know, for me personally, that is my time to read. I have always loved doing my quiet time, and I'll be honest, through the years with traveling and kids and life, I lost track of doing it because I'd wake up in the morning, rushed, and I'd be, like out the door. Oh, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that at lunch. And then, of course, my lunchtime comes, and I'm busy doing errands and things like that. So, of course, I say, well, you know what? I'll do that. I'll read before I go to bed tonight. Well, what happens? Well, then I get into bed, and I'm exhausted. So then I say, oh, I'll do it in the morning. And such starts that cycle. So for me, it's reading. But for you, what is it that you're not getting done? Think of something that is continuously on your to-do list that's not getting done. That's what you can use in your hour. But what you do is not nearly as important as why you do this. You're giving time for yourself. Now, I know most of you watching this, you want to help people. We all want to make a difference. But what that looks like is sometimes we give and we give and we give, but we have nothing for ourselves. So when you feed yourself first, you have more to feed others. You have more to give to others. It's out of your overflow. So in that hour, giving time to work out or go for a walk or read or do your quiet time or whatever that is, it's going to allow you to not only check something off your to-do list, which we all love to do, don't we? But it's also going to give you something that you need to be happier throughout the day. And here's the other thing is when you can cross something off your list in the morning, that's momentum. Because I know some of you are crazy like me that you love that feeling of scratching something off the list, right? Because we love that feeling of accomplishment. But if you could do that before you even finish your first cup of coffee, do you think that's going to be motivating? It absolutely will. So 1 hour early. Again, I challenge you for 1 week. And if it doesn't work, you can stop it. But I want to hear from you. So I want you to email me and let me know how that goes. And I'm at mprince@princeperformance.com. But give it a try. It will make a huge difference. So the other tip I want to give you on mastering your morning is something that's so simple, but simplicity is what our minds need. We need clarity and simplicity. And because we are in such a busy world with social media and email and all these other things coming at us, a lot of times we have huge to-do lists, so many things coming at us that we don't really know what to focus on. So I have something called the Power of 3. And the Power of 3 is very simple. I want you to think of your to-do list right now. How many items do you have on your to-do list in any given day? Some of you probably have about 5, right? So you're, maybe about 5 things that are on your list every day. How many of you have about 10? I bet there's several of you out there that have 20, maybe more. How can you possibly get 20 things done in a day effectively? The reality is we can't. But yet we create these to-do lists and we create all that guilt on top of it. And then when we finish our day and we haven't finished all 20 items, we feel like, oh, I didn't get anything done today. Well, you did, but just maybe not as much as you would have liked. So here's a simple way to do it. The Power of 3 is in your mornings. You could do this at night, but I do mine in the morning. Every morning, I want you to look at that long to-do list and pick only 3 things that you're going to commit to doing that day. That's it. Just 3. I know that sounds too simple, but here's why it works. 1, Our minds need simplicity and clarity. So when you only have 3 things to focus on, that's not overwhelming. So when you know what you have to get done, you're more likely to get it done. And the other thing is, as you go throughout your day and you finish one, you scratch it off, and then you know you're already a third of the way done. That creates momentum. And because we are all creatures of, we love accomplishment, crossing something off your list, especially early in the morning, and only having 3 things to do, it takes off that overwhelm and that pressure, and it really does work. And you can do this on a computer, you can do it pretty much in your day timer, but what I do is I just get a little sticky sheet of paper, and every morning I write my 3 things that I'm going to do. And as a side note, I make a commitment to myself that I'm going to complete at least one of those things before I get on email and social media, because, you know, we all try to get on that in the morning, and then we spend 5 hours and we don't know why we didn't get anything done. So those 3 things, you get it done. And then at the end of the day, no matter if you finished all 3, if maybe you did one thing on your list, maybe you didn't do any of it. But at the end of the day, you look at that list, you take that piece of paper, and you crumple it up, and you throw it away. Because tomorrow's a new day. And like I said, much of our issue with being busy and productivity is we think we're getting nothing done. We're getting so much more done than you even imagine. But let it go, because you can always do it the next day. But if you don't have that clarity, if you don't know specifically what you want to accomplish, and then you don't know specifically what needs to happen that day, it's likely that it's not going to happen. But when you have it simple, easy to follow, you're more likely to get more things done. And then think about that. So if you do 3 things on Monday, 3 things on Tuesday, you've already completed that long list that you probably wouldn't have completed in a week's time anyway. So give it a try, the power of 3. I have to move forward because we're running out of time here, but I want to talk about the afternoon. So we had a productive morning. We got up early. We did the things that we normally weren't getting done in an extra hour of the day. We set our agenda, our priorities. Now we need to accelerate our afternoons. What does that mean? Accelerating your afternoons means, we all have things that happen throughout our day. Some of you may work in a corporate office. Maybe you have employees. Maybe you have a boss, or maybe you are the boss and you have distractions throughout the day. So what are some things that you can do to be more productive while you're there at home or in the office? And the first one is, and this sounds so simple, but it really is an art of focus. There's a great book out there called The Myth of Multitasking by Dave Crenshaw, and it's all about, we think that when we're doing 10 things at once that we're being so productive. I'm on my cell phone, I'm checking Facebook, I've got email open, somebody comes to my office and I'm talking to them while I'm doing all these other things. And we think, because we're juggling, remember I talked about juggling? We're touching everything that needs to get done throughout the day. But what's happening? We're not finishing any of them. We start them, but we don't finish them. And that's because we're multitasking. Think about this. For me, I can say that a typical day would be, maybe you have the best of intentions. You get to the office and you say, I'm going to get this done today. Or I'm going to make those 20 cold calls, before 8 a.m. Whatever it is, it's your goal. You get there with the best of intentions, and then what happens? The phone rings. Or somebody comes into your office. Hey, do you have just a minute? It's never just a minute, right? So those distractions start happening, and then before you know it, you don't even remember what you're working on. So multitasking is actually doing the opposite of what you think it does. And a great example would be when you have a computer, and let's say you have Outlook open, and then maybe you have Facebook open, maybe you're working in QuickBooks, and all of these different applications. Well, when they're all those applications are open, what is it doing? It's slowing down the computer. Of course it is. Well, that's the exact same thing that happens to us. It literally slows you down because you start and then you stop, and then the time in between to get back on track, like, oh yeah, what was I working on again? Oh yeah, I took that call. So focusing on just one thing at a time for a short amount of time is actually the key to being productive. And what does that look like? It's something called time blocking. Now, I did not invent time blocking, but I have used it for years. And time blocking is a very simple way to manage your calendar. Most of us live and die by our calendar, don't we? If it's in our calendar, we're more likely to do it. Even if it's a meeting or a lunch that you really don't want to go to, if it's in your calendar, you're more likely to do it. So why don't we schedule the things that matter? You're likely scheduling your work appointments, but are you scheduling date night? Are you scheduling time with your kids? Are you scheduling your workouts, your quiet time, the things that are important to you? chances are good that you're not. So what you can do is at the beginning of every week or every day, take a look at what you need to get done, have your power of 3, and then schedule those 3 things. Literally get it in your calendar, and then block out the time to do that and only that. Now this does involve some discipline, and this is tough, especially if you're one of those people who's on, you're checking emails, or maybe you're in a Word document, but then you hear your ping of email come up and you can't help but, look to see who emailed you, and then of course you then get sucked into email. So it's about discipline, but it's all short amounts of time, easy for me to say. So it could be done in a paper calendar like this, or it can also be done on an online calendar. However you manage your calendar, this is a process that will work anywhere. But you literally block anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, no more than I'd say 2 hours on any given task. And the reason why you don't want to do too much is it's just not realistic. If you set from 8 till 4, I'm just going to cold call. Well, you're probably not going to be able to do that. And then what's going to happen? You'll get at the end of the day, you'll feel like you didn't accomplish anything because you didn't set realistic expectations. So setting realistic expectations for yourself will give you the clarity to know what you should be doing at any given time. But where discipline comes in is also in telling other people what you're doing. I have a theory that people will respect you to the exact degree that you respect yourself. The same goes with our time. People will respect your time to the exact degree that you respect it. So if you are available 24 hours a day, if somebody knows that they can reach you and ask you to do a work project possibly in the middle of the night, then guess what? They will ask you. But when you have very set boundaries of when you're available and when you're not, it just manages this process much easier. So for example, if you work in an office and you need to get something done, maybe you have to get a report out and you have to get it out by a certain time. Well, you have 30 minutes. Well, guess what? You tell somebody, if somebody comes to interrupt you, hey, can I just ask you a quick question? Absolutely, but can it wait 30 minutes? I'm right in the middle of something. 9 out of 10 times it can wait. So somebody else is urgent doesn't mean you're urgent. So when you are clear on your time, other people will be respectful of it too. I have to move forward, but time blocking is a great tool, and I really hope you use it. And then finally, it's not just about work, right? We started our day, we had a busy afternoon, but now it's time to enjoy or energize your evening. And what does that mean? Well, every night when you are done with the day, I want you to take a daily review. You have that sticky sheet of paper with your power of 3. You look and see, okay, how did I do? Take inventory. Did I do what I set out to do? And if I didn't, guess what? I have a great new day tomorrow to try it again. But this is important. You have to take time for yourself and feeding your mind. This is so critical. And obviously with Ziglar, that's everything Ziglar stands for, is what goes into your mind is what's going to, come out and through your results. But what are you feeding your mind at night? Are you feeding the good, the pure, the positive? Or are you watching things that are negative, things that make you stressed out, things that are, not going to be good, the pure, positive? So that will affect your productivity, because what you put in your mind last at night, your subconscious will dwell on all night long while you sleep. And that will affect how your day is tomorrow. So relax. Take time to get on the Ziglar webcast, the Ziglar show. All the information will get you in the right mindset to be more productive the next day. But I have to say, even when everybody, if you have the best time management system, I could be here all day teaching you all kinds of tips and tricks for time management. But even if you had all that information, there's still some of you out there that might be struggling from something called procrastination. Are there any procrastinators out there, right? Of course, we all procrastinate from time to time, but I will tell you, it is the #1 dream killer. It's what kills your desire to make a difference. It kills your desire to start a business, to be successful. So if you can overcome procrastination, then you're going to be making a bigger impact in this world. So let me give you 4 ways to end procrastination for good. Number 1, you have to be truthful and figure out what's holding you back. Be real about this. If you say you want to write a book, well, why aren't you doing it? Do you have a fear that, what if somebody reads it? What if they don't like it? What if? Fear of failure. Or do you have a fear of success? That's a very real fear. What if I do this and it works? What if I step into my greatness and, oh my gosh, how does that change my life? What will my spouse think? What will my friends think? Fear is a big reason why we procrastinate. But before you can overcome anything, you have to know what it is. So be real with yourself right now. And what's the real reason why you're procrastinating? Number 2, it does take discipline, right? And nobody wants to hear that the good things in life take hard work. We all want to be, millionaires overnight with absolutely no work. But the key is, it does take discipline. But when you set your goals and you set your tasks and your priorities based on your passions and your purpose, like we started with the foundational things, I promise you, it's not going to feel like work. It's kind of like a musician. They love their music. And yes, they are practicing hours and hours and hours a day, but it doesn't feel like work because they love it so much. When I was writing my first book, I was getting up earlier than I ever did and stayed up later than I wished I could. I did. And you know what, though? I loved it because passion pulls you. You don't have to push it. So you do have to have some discipline, though, but just have the good news to know it's not going to be as hard as you think. Third is, dust off your dreams. I shared my story about my dream at 18, and I'm so blessed that I was able to make it come true at an early age, but I still have more dreams. But I am more passionate now than I was at 18 about making a difference. So I have a belief that your dreams don't change. Our circumstances do. So I want you to go back. What was a big dream of yours 10 years ago, 20 years ago, last month, last week? What is something that you've put on the back burner for so long you just kind of gave up on it? I encourage you to go back and look at it because chances are good that if you can incorporate that into your life, it's going to make you happier. And when you're happier, you're more productive. But you first have to go back and dust off those dreams. And then finally, it sounds so cliche and so simple, but we have to start living now. Life is short, and you never, ever, ever know what's going to come around the bend. So if you take action now, while you have your health, while you have, you're never going to have more time. I hate to say that, but you're never going to have more time. So put that excuse aside. You may never have more money. So why wait? Why wait? If you've ever lost somebody in your life, you know how precious life is and how short it is. So if we could live every day with that awareness of that and go after your dreams and your goals, it will make a huge difference. But you got to do it now. So start living now. I want to tell you that you can make changes. If you're not feeling as productive as you like, you can do it. But I will say the problem is never going to be a lack of information. We're not as productive as we want, not because it's a lack of information. That's not what's keeping us from our dreams. It's a lack of implementation. We know what we want. We know how to do it. Or if we don't know how to do it, we know how to find someone who does. Just on the Ziglar Vault, you can find answers to everything you want out there. So it's never going to be a lack of information, but a lack of implementation. So what does it really boil down to? Well, before I tell you that, let me give you one resource that I think may help you. I have a CD that is, actually it's an MP3, an audio of more tips on how to overcome procrastination, how to really get more done in less time. And I'd like to give that to you for free. And you can get that by going to busybeingBusy.com. That's busybeingBusy.com. And just download it. It's totally free, and that is my gift to you because, like Tom said, you can be inspired right now. You can want to get more done. You want to make a bigger difference, a bigger impact, but you have to have the resources to follow up. So I hope that is a good help for you to get going on that. But let me get back to what I was talking about. What is really productivity? Productivity is simple. It boils down to taking action, right? You have to take action. But more importantly, though, you have to see it. You have to know what you want. You have to have that clarity we talked about to know exactly what you want to accomplish, short-term and long-term. And you have to believe it. You have to know that you have those seeds of greatness, that you have everything within you right now to do the things that you dream about doing. You have to believe it because no one will believe you until you believe yourself. And you have to want it. You have to want it with everything within you. You have to wake up every day with excitement and ready to take on the day to do the things you know you're meant to do. You have to want it. Nobody can want it for you. And you know why? It's just too easy to quit. I'm going to end with sharing one of my all-time favorite poems. It's actually a poem somebody gave to me when I was in high school on a little keychain, and I still have that keychain today. But it was a good reminder for me then, and it's a wonderful reminder for me now, that life is short, and we just can't quit. And it goes like this. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low, the debts are high, you want to smile. but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a struggler turns about when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and you never can tell how close you are. You may be near when it seems so far. Stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things seem worst that you must not quit. And I believe with all my heart that you have the tools in front of you to not quit and to keep going. And I thank you so much for the opportunity to share what I'm doing with helping to overcome procrastination. And with that, I don't want to procrastinate bringing my friend Tom back up here.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome, Michelle. Yeah, stay right here, man. I just I get excited to listen to that, and it made me think of kind of Dad was known for his corny jokes. Okay, so what is the poorest nation in the world?
I don't know.
Procrastination.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
I've never heard that one. That's funny.
Yeah, and what's the richest nation in the world?
Determination?
Oh, that's good. Imagination.
Oh, I like that one too.
Yeah, but you know what? Without determination, imagination isn't going to happen.
That's true. That's right.
Yeah, we made up a new one right
that's a
here.
whole new.
Okay, so what we want to do is we want to share with you who the winner is. So we're going to send you, the winner is going to get the Busy Being Busy and the Born to Win book autographed. So here is the winner. The winner is Andrew Gallon from Helena, Montana. Congratulations.
Woo!
We will send this out to you. We'll send it to you in the mail. It'll be coming to you very soon. For those of you who have questions and you haven't sent them in yet, you still have time. Just the top right-hand box. We'll handle as many questions as we can in the next 10 or so minutes. So go ahead and send those in. Just as a recap, what was the name of MichellePrince.com? They can get your book there.
They can get my book at MichellePrince.com, or you can also get that MP3, BusyBeingBusy.com.
Make sure you get the Busy Being Busy. And if you want the Ziglar On Demand, we sent that to you. Ziglar On Demand at Ziglar.com/on/demand.com. That's where Ziglar On Demand /Ziglar/on/demand. That's easy for you. Okay, so make sure that you send that in. And remember, I'm in trouble with the staff, so if you do the annual subscription, it gives you 365 days of all access to everything, all 60 hours at your fingertips. If you want access to that for a year, it's $99. And then you have to email me personally to get the bonus book signed, the Born to Win book and Michelle's book. Okay, let's look at the questions here. The first one here, is there anything positive about procrastination, and if so, what is it?
That is an awesome question, and my belief is yes, because from my own story, like I said, had I not gone through my challenges and all those years in corporate America where I was really unhappy and procrastinating on my dream, which was to do what I'm doing now, I think that because I procrastinated, it gave me the time to really figure out how I wanted to go about doing this. And so I don't think it's procrastination that's the good thing. I think it's sometimes, life gives you time to figure out where you're supposed to go, and that's just part of the journey. But if procrastination is keeping you, meaning it's something you want to do, and the only reason you're not doing it is because you just don't feel like it, well, that's never going to help you in the long run. So the question would be, if you're really procrastinating on it, is it really your dream?
Right. And I think the difference is you don't want to, you can make a decision to address it at a later time.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's not procrastination. Procrastination is just the gremlins are piling up at the door, and you refuse to open the door.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Right?
Yep.
So it's okay to make a decision to address it at a later time, because let's face it, there's not enough time to handle everything in life.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. How to stay focused on the goal at hand or task at hand, etc. So how do we stay focused? We got something we got to get done. Life's happening. How do we stay focused?
I'm a big believer in keeping it simple. I mean, if you get to your performance planner and every day just net out the 3 things that you absolutely are going to get done. You're focused. So every time you have a free moment, you look at either your sticky sheet or you look at your performance planner and you think, oh yeah, I need to get that done. sometimes we don't have focus because we're just overwhelmed with so many details and we don't have it simplified. So keep it simple and you're going to be more likely to get it done.
Okay. The 3 things. Prioritize those 3 things. When I do my morning time capsule, I do that one thing first,
Yes.
just like you do.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it is so hard not to go to email first thing.
It's that eat the frog first thing in the
But
morning.
if you avoid the email until you get your first thing done, wow, that's powerful. What is the name of the poem that you ended with?
It's called Don't Quit, and it's actually author unknown. There's more verses to it. I didn't want to go through all of them, but it's if you just Google "Don't Quit" poem, you'll find it everywhere. And it is my favorite poem.
So, do you have like a go-to thought in your mind when life just kind of gets on top of you? Like, you know, you're tired from the road, or 10 things in a row went bad, and you know, for me, it's like I just want to go into my room and turn the lights off and just kind of be quiet, and I just don't want to deal with it. And then I think of the go-to thought, right? The thing that's going to get me out. What's your go-to thought, and what would you say to people about, hey, when you feel yourself getting in that place that you don't want to be, how do you reach up and get out of that?
It's funny, I was kind of giggling when you said that because I've had one of those weeks. We're kind of in the process of a move, and it's just been a little hectic. And for me, the first thing that came to mind when you said that is this too shall pass. Meaning, we're always going to have issues and things that get in the way. And even with the best of intentions and the best of your 3 for the day and your planner just perfect, things will come up. So just be accepting of yourself that, you know what, this is just part of the journey. And as hard as this is, I started kind of in my mind thinking, being thankful for the things that were bad in my life, because it just puts things in perspective, you know. I'm thankful that we have to have our foundation replaced, you know, even though I'm not, of course. But hey, you know, now we know we live in a safe place. So it's mindset, truly. And for me, it comes more natural. It's because I've fed my mind with Zig's material since I was so young. But whatever you're going through, this too shall pass. And even if you're feeling a little lethargic and not getting as much done as you would like to do, this too shall pass. You just have to make a plan and then put it in action.
Awesome, awesome. Well, it's been a fabulous time. We thank you for joining us. Are there any parting words that you want to leave our audience with before we close off?
I would love to end it with kind of how I started, and that is what Zig said, is, you know, you have everything, you have those seeds of greatness. You were designed that way. God made you that way. Your only job in life is to water those seeds and to nurture them, and so that they can grow. And you can do this. If I can do this, and Tom, you can do this, you all can do this. And frankly, life's too short to be ordinary. Go out there and be extraordinary.
That's right. All right, thanks everybody for joining us today on the Ziglar Webcast, brought to you by The Ziglar Show. You can get that at iTunes under the podcast section. That's absolutely free. And also Ziglar On Demand. We're going to be emailing everybody who registered for the Ziglar On Demand special that we mentioned. But if you want that autographed book sent to you in the mail, if you're in the continental United States, you've got to email Tom Ziglar. So that's tziglar@ziglar.com, and just say this: hey, I purchased the $99 annual, and I want that signed copy of Michelle's book and Tom's book. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.